All right, welcome back to the educational system as we know it today, U.S. history. Today we are doing and learning our current event assignment. We will have this assignment every week for the rest of the year, so it's very important that we learn exactly how to do it right away so there's really no questions going forward. All you need is really your Chromebook. We're going to go through how to get to the directions and how to really do the assignment. And this relates to U.S. history as a whole because U.S. history happens every day. And we can also look at the world aspect as well. So hopefully today gives you a great understanding how to complete this assignment. So our first step is to get to the directions. I think most of us know how to get to Google Classroom. Once you're in Google Classroom, you got to get to the U.S. history, whatever section you're in, whether it is third hour or seventh hour. Once there, you're going to be put on this stream page. I want you to make sure you go to the classwork page where I have things organized a little better. Once you're in the classwork page, as you see there's a topic called current events. You're going to want to click on current events 9/9/19 to 9/13/19. This signifies what day it was assigned and what day it is due. For example, this week's assignment was assigned on Monday the 9th and is due Friday the 13th. The second step shows you how to open the directions and what the directions says. So once you click on the current events, you clicked on where it says the date it was assigned and when it was due. This is what I see on my screen. So I get to see exactly whose turn it in and when, which is very convenient. But what I want you to worry about is this Google Doc down at the bottom where my green arrow is pointing. It says current event instructions. So you're going to click on that link and it's going to open up the instructions. So now that you have clicked on the instructions link, this will open up. And as we found out last week through our following instructions activity, it's very important to read them all before you even start the assignment. So our instructions say you will be responsible for sharing a current news article with the class along with a minimum of 5 sentences about the article. What I am looking for is that you find an article that has to do with an event taking place in the world right now. It could be an event in another country, right here in our state, or right here in our city. You must use the Star Tribune, unless I say otherwise. This assignment will be worth 15 points. As I mentioned, this is a weekly assignment, so these 15 points add up to quite a bit percentage of your grade, so it's very important that we do not fall behind. The following items should be addressed. Always feel free to include more. The first thing you need to do is put the link to the article. So the link to the article is going to be on the top of the URL at your page. You're going to want to copy and paste that into your new Google Doc. I want you to write, why did you pick this article? Did you pick it because it was funny? Did you pick it because it relates to a topic that you're interested in? Explain exactly why you picked it. How do you think the topic will affect people? What is the significance? So I can explain this one in a little bit, but how is this a part of society? What is the problem? How is this going to affect people? The next one is what group does the article focus on? Who's affected kind of relates back to the back question. If I'm doing an article on the Minnesota Vikings, it would relate to Vikings fans and Vikings players as a whole. And then what is your opinion about the event? Do you think it was a good thing? Do you think it was a bad thing? Should we change something? And the last one that I give you a suggestion to address is a conclusion on what you think about this event will mean for the future. And I'll go into that more a little bit later. The last thing that's bolded and underlined, as you see, is you will tell the class about your current event on Friday. So every Friday we take about 10 minutes and we just share what we wrote about the class. Not everyone always shares each Friday, but it's very important that you're ready and prepared because if you do get called, I do expect you to share on Friday. So now that we have fully read the instructions, our next object or our next task is to find an article that you want to write about. Now, remembering that this article has to be 5 sentences and it's going to be in a paragraph format. It's not going to be listing. You're actually going to be writing like it is a paragraph. So we need to first get to the Star Tribune. As we did last week, we should have all got a login I should say that in the top right now. If you don't remember your login or for some reason you're not logged in, don't worry. You can still navigate the Star Tribune, but you can only click on so many articles. So make sure you're not clicking on every little thing you see. Make sure you really only click on articles that you're interested in. So once you are in Star Tribune, you can navigate. Maybe you want to do something local. Maybe you're interested in the sports, business, opinion, variety. There's many different categories they have here and you want to click on an article or a topic that interests you that might write about. So while navigating the Star Tribune, I found this article. It's labeled or titled, "Secondhand Shopping, Once Stigmatized, is Going Mainstream." So I thought this would be a great story for me. I would then click it. The first thing I would do is scroll to the top and find the URL. So at the top of my website, as you can see, the URL is right here. You're going to want to copy and paste that into a new Google Doc. That's the first thing you should do, because that's instruction number 1. Like I said, it's very important that we follow all the instructions so we can get all our points for every assignment. So I got a side-by-side of our instructions in our my article that I'll be writing about, and it's just going to talk you through maybe what's the correct thing to write, or maybe give you the idea what to write for each assignment. So as I already did, I can kind of check them off as I go. I did a link to the article. I copy and pasted that into my new Google Doc. The second question is, why did I pick this article? So maybe you have a personal story like I do in this one. I often actually do shop at secondhand stores. I think it's a great place to find record players for my record, or even some weird or different ties. So maybe I talk about I actually go to the secondhand store, so that's why I picked this article. The third topic is, how do you think the topic will affect people? I believe this will open up people's minds, so maybe wanting to stop into their local secondhand store. So that could be something I write about in there, so I can cross that one off. What group does this article focus on? So very widely, this article focuses on all shoppers. If you get more specific, right now it targets people who want to go to the secondhand store. So you can kind of mention a couple different things. The next one is, what is your opinion? My opinion on the event is this is a really good thing. I think people should utilize the secondhand shopping. You can get it for a lot cheaper. You don't always have to buy brand new, and I think that's kind of what the opinion for people is, if it's not new, they don't want it. So I can talk about how I think it's very important that people go and give the secondhand store a chance. And then lastly, a conclusion about what I think this will mean for the future. So for the future, I think this will actually increase business to secondhand stores, and people are going to realize they like what they see. So those are just some examples. Now, I said I couldn't feel free to include more, but what I really don't want you to do is summarize the whole article for me. I think you do that while answering these questions, but I don't want you to just say the article in your own words. I want you to answer these specific questions about the article. So that is your main task for today, is to complete your current event assignment. It is independent, so make sure you are doing it by yourself. You're not sharing your Google Doc or copy and pasting. It is all independent, because you have to be ready by Friday in case you get picked to share your story. Now, if you finish, and I think it'd be kind of tough to finish your first one, you really want to do a good job, but if you do, there is a new assignment in Google Classroom, and it is called the Washington Farewell Address. So, under the Unit 1, Early Republic, there's Washington Farewell. What it is a reading that I'll pull up here. It is a reading about what George Washington said during his last days as presidency, saying how he did not want a third term. What you want to do is you want to read it, and there are some questions at the end. This relates back to the slide that we saw last week during our notes, is how Washington won the election with 69 votes. John Adams took second with 34, and as we found out, the person who took second place for president ended up becoming vice president. What George Washington's farewell address says is, make sure this keeps happening, make sure we don't have political parties. And what I want you to do is read that article, and there are some questions at the end. But like I said, that is if you finish. It is not homework. That is what we're going to be working on tomorrow. So don't worry about it if you don't get to it. But if you do get your current event assignment done early, that is something you can work on. All right, so good luck. Make sure you do a good job, and I can't wait to see how they turn out.